is going to be our first lunchtime learn. I think that today will probably be more just like a bit of a chat style. We'll give you some hints and tips. We will talk through some stuff around resilience. We're still testing different technologies and stuff, so depending on what people want to see going forward, any particular topics, any particular format, we might do it on Zoom or be live TV so that we can in the future share some slides or different information with you. But
use the technology.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're still learning as we go along, but today it'll be fairly informal, bit of a chat style. Hopefully you'll get some hints and tips and pick some little bits up along the way. We will put some stuff in the file section as well after the call, and obviously the call will be recorded, and we'll share the link so you can always watch it back if you want to as well. So if there is anything that you particularly want to learn about in the future, please do let us know, because we would love to hear from you and we would love this to be member-led. There's a lot going on at the moment which we'll talk about going forward, but we kind of want to start building our community and all feel like we're there to help each other. So hello to those that have just joined us. Julie, hi, hope you're well, and John as well. So yeah, great to have you all here.
Absolutely. Do you want to tell a bit more about kind of what we're going to do today and how it links?
Yeah, so we have got a really great masterclass on the Members Club. Tom Jones, who's watching at the moment, he brought us this masterclass on resilience. There's quiz, workbook, the whole thing's on the MyPeopleClub site. But we just wanted to take that forward a little bit and talk to you about resilience today. Particularly with everything going on, because obviously it's a challenging time for us all. So today's masterclass will be all around resilience, things that you can do to stop the overwhelm, how you can grow your resilience as a person, and hopefully you'll get some great tips.
Absolutely, yeah. And one of the great things in the masterclass that we think is really relevant right now is what's going to come up and hit you now in terms of how society is changing, work is changing, what it's meaning for you as parents. In Tom's masterclass, he talks about some of the statements that he heard through his career and other people that he works with here, such as, you haven't made it into the team, or I'm afraid you haven't had the job or got the job, or we can't proceed with you at this moment. Now, that's probably going to happen more and more moving forward. And it might be people are being told, you've got to go and work from home now, we can't come into the office, which changes their working environment. Some people are great working from home, others absolutely hate it. People might hear, I'm afraid we've got to cancel the event that you booked into. Or you might be having to tell people, I've got to cancel the event. Or a venue might be saying to you, we can't host your event. You might have prospective clients saying, can we just hold on conversations for 6 months? You might have existing clients saying, we need to pause the work, we need to finish our contract early. This is going to impact a lot of people, a lot of businesses, and those kind of statements are going to be flying around quite a lot, and you will be on the receiving end of them in some shape or form. So being resilient, being mentally tough is going to be really important moving forward for everyone in business and from a personal perspective as well. So I think it's this, what we want to share today is how do we arm you with the tools, how to get the right mindset to handle that. And to how can you carry on in business? How can you carry on adapting and thinking about, actually, there's still an opportunity here. I can do what I do. I just do it differently. And that's what we want to try and get from today, I think. Yeah,
and I think we'll probably skim quite a few topics today, but because we're only, going to try and do this in about half an hour or so. But if there's any of it that you would like us to go into in more detail, then we would be absolutely happy to do that. So we're going to skim over some practical tools, we're going to skim over some mindset stuff and how we can control our reactions to things a little bit better. So we'll talk about some of that, but if you want any of it in more detail, then please do let us know. And you're going to have to be the eyes, because even though I've got my glasses on, I'm as blind as a bat because the camera's quite far away, but I can see everybody saying hello, so exactly. Hi to everybody.
Hi Metra, hi Lorraine, hi Joe.
Thank you, I'm like that even with my glasses on, so sorry about that.
And I'm the older one.
Yeah, yes, that's true, you are older than me actually. So I think first off, if we talk about some practical steps, because I know as a HR person, I am getting a lot of queries right now from my clients and from people that I know and others about, what do we do, what with the staff, when do we pay them, all that sort of stuff. So we're not having a session totally on that, but we'll just skim some of the stuff. So I think as a HR professional, or as any professional actually, the main thing is to try and remain calm. It feels very overwhelming when there's a lot of information that's changing all the time, and when there's a lot of information coming at you, people wanting lots of different things. So one of my big things is trying to detach yourself and to remain calm. How do you deal with stuff like that, James?
A big thing for me is about thinking about what I'm in control of. So situations happen. If I've not caused it, what can I control? Because there's no point in losing sleep, wasting energy, creating negative energy for me or for people around me, clients, colleagues, etc., if I can't do anything about it. So I think that's the first thing, is take stock of what I can control, what I can change, and that's where I should focus my energy. Otherwise, it's a waste. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another big thing for me, and it's something that I learned a lot about how to do quite well when I was doing NLP training, is that you should try and think about your end goal. So for instance, it might be that all your staff are going to end up working from home and the office might close, so that might be the end thing for the moment, and then try and work backwards and break things into smaller chunks. So, try and break things into little baby steps, because if you do things in baby steps, then you will still feel like you're moving forward and that you're kind of getting on with things. Whereas if you just look at the end goal and think, oh my God, how am I going to get there? What am I going to do? All these, overwhelmed thoughts start going on in your head, and you start getting, obviously agitated and upset and all the rest of it. So I think the big thing for me is trying to remain calm, think about the end goal, work backwards and break things into small steps that are achievable. So the first one might be, right, we need to have a meeting with staff, if we're thinking about closing the office, for instance, or laying people off. So, I need a letter that does that, tick. And even get yourself a tick list, because even just like writing a template letter is a sense of achievement when you've done it. I've been doing some template letters for this very thing this morning for some of my clients who may need to close some of their offices or stores or whatever it might be further on down the line. So we're getting prepared now. So break things into smaller steps. The next thing might be, right, pay, do we have company sick pay? Yes, no. Do we then go into to have company sick pay, then statutory sick pay? Do we have pregnant women who might need to go on pregnancy suspension? So break things into small things. So looking at little groups, like pregnancy or older workers at a time, rather than trying to look at everybody at once. And that will really help you, start to feel like you're getting through some of the stuff and achieving some of the stuff, because even some of the smallest stuff, like writing a letter, is a big tick when you've done it, and it might just be a 10-minute job. Obviously some of the other stuff will be hours, days, weeks long, but at least you're breaking stuff down.
Absolutely, yeah. And my line of work is kind of more around coaching and training, and that's just really at the top of my agenda at the moment. So yesterday I ran a face-to-face training event over in Manchester, ironically all about communication skills and how to communicate confidently. And I adapted it kind of in the morning while I was preparing. I thought there's no point in majoring on how we communicate through our body language when, to a large extent, a lot of people won't have the chance to do that because they might be self-isolated, they might not be able to get to meet people. So it's actually more about how we communicate effectively through email, through phone, and maybe through video conferencing and using technology like we are right now. So it's about adapting. So breaking it down to say, as a trainer, of the things I train, how can I do those online? I can't necessarily run an 8-hour workshop online. I need to break it into chunks. So what are those chunks? Of all the content I've got, how can that work over a number of days, over a number of sessions? For coaches, a lot of coaches will coach people remotely anyway. If you're an international coach and you've got clients abroad, the technology there is to help you. Facebook, Zoom, Skype, etc. But if you're more used to coaching people in person, then you've got to put a bit more rigor around that. You've got to plan a bit better and maybe need some tools to help you capture what's being discussed and document it so that you can share it in a different way rather than face-to-face or summarising it at the end of a session. So similarly to the HR things, in terms of how you run your business, how you manage different people, break down what you do as a coach or a trainer to work out how you can still make that work. And I think one of the big things that Tom talks about is fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And this is one of those great times where that really comes to play. So with everything going on, do you adopt a fixed mindset and say, I'm not in control of this, this is happening to me, and I'm going to almost let it beat me? I'm not going to try and fight it. I'm not going to try and get out the other end of it. Or do you look for the opportunities to grow? So for a lot of people, they may have wanted to move their training online. They may have wanted to do more coaching online. They may, as a business, wanted to allow more people to work remotely and see if that works as a business and work out what policies and procedures need to be in place. Now's the time to make it work. Look at it as a growth opportunity. How do I make this successful? And if you go with that mindset, then you're already setting yourself up for success. So it's definitely growth, not fixed.
And Tom's absolutely saying it. Adaptability, versatility, and retaining self-belief are key. And that, yeah, I totally agree with that. Lorraine says, think to recognise we're all in the same boat. Yep, and would encourage everyone to make sure they are.
Let's see more. What Lorraine's saying?
Make sure they increase the levels of virtually connecting with people. Yeah. So I've seen some really great stuff about that actually, Lorraine, over the last few days. So, particularly if you are managing teams or you're part of the HR team trying to organise everybody sort of starting to work remotely from home, how do you keep things going? So I've seen where people are arranging virtual coffee mornings. So, their whole team can go on Zoom at 10 o'clock or whatever it might be with a cup of tea and just have a chat. I've seen where CEOs are actually encouraging people to introduce their children and pets on calls. I've seen some really funny posts actually in some of the groups where they've said, if you've got kids or pets, tell us what you're doing, but call them co-workers. So, my co-worker's now like farting on the floor. So there's some really funny things as well. And I think, and they were saying that on the news this morning, that actually, one of the things you can do is try and have a bit of fun, try and laugh. Those are all the things that release those endorphins in your body. Try not to, even though we all need to watch the news to know what's going to happen, trying to limit the amount of news that you watch and, things on Twitter and all the rest of it, because it's like someone once explained it again when I was on an NLP course, that if you're watching things like, I don't know, and sorry to anybody who loves their soaps, but EastEnders or any of the soaps, subliminally, it's quite depressing because there's always dramas and things that are going wrong, and the same for watching the news. It's all about the stuff that's going wrong in the world. And you need a little bit of that, I guess, in terms of the news to know what's going on, but actually watching it all the time and soaking that in all the time doesn't actually do you any good. So it's really important to limit, the amount of time that you're spending flicking through all the, what's the word I'm looking for, like the drama and the extreme negativity. Yeah,
and just find that balance in what you're watching. I mean, and there's times where people say to me, how do you overcome times when you're just feeling a bit down, something's happened that wasn't great. I'll go to YouTube and find a video of cats jumping off walls and failing. Just stuff that makes you laugh. You've got to have that balance between the realism and what's going on and remaining up to date, because that's important to know what's going on out there, but also balance that with relief and humour and fun and connecting with people, connecting back with your family. I'm guilty of it. I know Chris is as well. These last year or so, building MyPeopleClub, we've been absent at home because we've just been doing so much stuff. Now's a great time, because everyone has to be at home, to reconnect with your family and reconnect with your kids and pick up the phone, speak to loved ones, speak to parents, people who might be, feeling the pinch of this. And I think, do you remember there was a video ages ago with the news reporter who happened to be working from home, and the kid ran in, and then the nanny ran in afterwards, and it was a big thing at the time.
Nanny,
was it not?
It was his wife.
Oh no, it was his wife. Everyone thought it was his nanny. That's right.
His
wife ran in, and there was that was funny. Everyone loved it, but that's what it's going to be like now. We're going to be doing more video conferencing. And that will happen if you've got kids around playing Lego on the floor behind you. You've got the pets. So we've just got to be a bit more tolerant about it and just bring some of that humour in, I think.
So, some tips on home working that we wanted to give you. And again, what we'll do is we'll put some of this in a document and we'll share it in the files section, because I know there's also some really good tools on things like Mind Tools. They've got resilience quizzes and all that sort of stuff. So we will share some links for you all, because I think it would be really useful.
Yep.
But in terms of home working, and might be teaching everyone to suck eggs, but it's good to be reminded, because how often, and I was watching this on another webinar a few days ago actually, it's like, how often do you watch something and you think, yeah, I know that, yeah, I know that, yeah, I know that, But then you think, how much of that am I actually implementing? Oh, I've not had time to do that. I've not had time. So you know it all, but you don't actually implement it. So maybe after this call, you actually try and implement a couple of things. So, homeworking. I hope you all dressed this morning and had a shower and got dressed, because that is a big thing about mindset. If you're going to work from home, as tempting as it is to be in your pyjamas all day. Yeah, exactly. It does your soul a lot of good to get up, get dressed, get showered, get ready for work. Try and have an area in the house. Not everybody's lucky enough to have an office or whatever, but try and have an area that you can work, even if it's a dining room table. Even though actually we do have an office, I do most of my work on the dining room table because it's just more comfortable. So make sure you have regular breaks, get some fresh air, especially, the weather's not too bad here today, so you can get outside, get a bit of fresh air. If you've got a dog, go and walk the dog. You're still allowed to do that at the moment. So, try and get a bit of fresh air. Make sure you try and organise those virtual meetups, so either with friends or with colleagues. I think it's a really great idea if you've got access to Zoom or Teams, or there's so many different ones now, isn't there? So you can have those virtual hang-ups and have a cup of tea and a bit of a laugh about what's going on.
Yeah, and Tom said there, remember the value of connecting with supportive people. So think about actually, who do you know that just brings you back up when you're feeling a bit down? Who do you know can just make you laugh? Who do you know has got a good pair of ears and can listen? Just make contact with them and talk to them. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And then, like you say, it's about reaching out for help when you need it. So, like for us HR people, there's different HR groups, or coaching, there's different coaching groups, or we're here. So if anybody needs any help or just a bit of moral support, we're here to help all our people in our group and our members and everything as well. So, be able to feel confident enough to reach out to people if you are struggling. I think that's a big thing, isn't it? So again, all that mindset stuff. And we'll do a couple of exercises at the end just to help with some mindset stuff. What else have I got on my list? And just managing time with kids. So kids and pets, they love structure, they love routine and things. So if you are in the position that you're having to deal with work and kids and dogs and cats or whatever else you might have in your life, try and put a little bit of structure around that. So that the first hour's playtime, then mummy and daddy's got to do some work, so that's the time when you go and do some, schooling online, or read a book or whatever, and then at lunchtime we'll have some more playtime. So try and structure things, so again kids get into the routine of knowing when it's playtime, when it's work time essentially. And that will help you as well. I know it doesn't always work like that, especially if you've got young children, but as much as possible.
And I think this is I speak as someone who's got 2 grown-up children, but certainly they've always shown an interest in business and how business works and what it's like running your own business. So if you've got kids who are at that age where actually knowing what you do in terms of running your business, what is this video conference you're on? Why are you on a Facebook Live? Why are you having to do loads of stuff differently now? Let them learn from it. They're the leaders of the future. They're going to start their careers at some point in however many years' time. So use it as an opportunity to help them learn about something else, something kind of very real for you, and involve them in it.
Yeah. Some other stuff that you can do. So resilience is all about how you respond to things. So as much as possible, it's trying to take the emotional aspects out of things, and then being able to deal with things in a pragmatic way. And we could do quite a long session on some of the techniques to do that, and if anyone's interested, we could do another session on that. But just given the time, we won't talk about it too much today. But I think it's really important that it's about taking those deep breaths. So one of the things that I would just like to try with you all now, and I'll use you as my guinea pig, was just a short breathing exercise for those that do get really overwhelmed. So if you close your eyes and just make sure your feet are flat on the floor, and just take a second to calm down. And this is a really good breathing exercise for just helping to calm you down. So if you just breathe in to the count of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it in for another 4. 1, 2, 3. And breathe out through your mouth to the count of 8. And as you're breathing out to the count of 8, breathe and expel all the air in your lungs and your stomach until you've got nothing left. And then we'll just do it one more time. Breathe in for the count of 4. Hold it for 4. And expel for 8. And just make sure you get all the air out your stomach and everything. So you should be pushing it out your stomach as well as your lungs. And if you do that several times, what that'll do is actually slow your heart rate down, and that will bring you back down to earth. Having your feet on the floor ground you, and I know I'm going a bit spiritual here, but it does help. And just do that a few times, and after doing that a few times, you will really feel a lot calmer, a lot more grounded, and you'll just be able to deal with things that little bit better.
Yeah, and I think that's really key. One of the big things I know I've suffered from, and people I coach suffer from, is when they are feeling anxious, when they're feeling overwhelmed by stuff. One of the things that happens is their breathing starts to increase, and they find themselves very short of breath, and they're taking short breaths to try and get through what's going on for them. Controlling the breathing, doing an exercise like Chris has just taken us through, is really valuable to get that control back, bring your heart rate back down, and it's quick and it's effective.
Yeah, and even going outside, and doing that outside particularly, just the fresh air will help really ground you. And if something is really overwhelming you, just put it down, for 10, 20 minutes, go and do some breathing exercises. And you'll find that when you come back to do it, your head will be a lot clearer, and you'll be able to deal with whatever it might be in a lot more efficient way, really. So I think that's one thing you can do. I think if you're also someone who gets quite overwhelmed, what I always do when I'm coaching people, usually more around sort of self-esteem and things, but and again, you'll have heard this before, but whether actually any of you do it is another thing, but keep a gratitude diary. So every morning, and again, I'm not always very good at doing this, but every morning, 3 things that you're really grateful for. And when you're, feeling low, or there's like loads of stuff going on, and especially with all the worries and stuff, it's hard to do that. But it might just be, well, actually I've got a roof over my head, or, the sun's shining today, or, I'm really grateful for my kids, family, whatever, pet, whatever it might be. So before you get out of bed, just lay there and think of 3 things that you're grateful for, and then do the same same again at night. And I did this with somebody who had some quite extreme things going on in her personal life and her childhood and all the rest of it. And she did this over a period of a few months, and at the end of it, she went from somebody who perhaps wasn't the most positive person to actually feeling a lot better about herself and being more positive. So again, all these little simple things which seem ridiculous, and you just think, oh, how's that going to help? But over a course of time, really does start to subliminally change your core beliefs, and you start looking at things in a bit more of a positive way. So it's that, cup half empty, cup half full thing, and you start to change the way you look at things. And actually, instead of this being all doom and gloom, perhaps it is a chance for society as a whole to kind of start a new way of working, to really get in flexible working. And actually, if it works now, then why can't you carry some of that forward? To look at the fact that apparently it's having a good effect on the environment or on family life, because we've kind of got to that stage where everything's so fast, and that you never do spend any family time anymore.
No, exactly.
So I think it's about trying to find some positives out of a lot of panic.
Yeah, and I can see Lorraine's put a comment there about a good book to read about gratitude is The Secret, which I've read.
Yes, and Lorraine, you can get the DVD as well now.
Yes, and Lorraine also put a comment earlier about just writing stuff down, getting stuff out of your head, whether that's the beginning of the day, to if you have woken up and things just don't feel quite right, you've done some breathing exercises, you've kind of thought of those 3 things that you are thankful for, and just get stuff down onto paper, just so you'd say, right, I'm going to write this down, it's out my head, and then it becomes a list of something you can tick off and address. And maybe at the end of the day as well, just write stuff down just to say, actually, what have I achieved today? Go back to that list you made at the start of the day and feel that sense of accomplishment from ticking stuff off. And look at the stuff you didn't do and just think to yourself, okay, why didn't I do that? Is it because it wasn't important? Is it because I need someone to help me with it? And work out what you do tomorrow to make that happen.
Yeah. And there's a lot of tools out there as well, and maybe we can put some links to it of, how to prioritise. So, red is like the stuff that has to be done today, this week, whatever. That, amber's the stuff that needs to be done but doesn't have to be done right now, and all that sort of stuff. Green's the stuff that you can wait for however long. So there's lots of tools and stuff out there to really help you do that as well. like I say, we could talk a lot more around what's going on and, you know, HR and how to pay people and stuff. So if people want sessions on all that sort of stuff, then we can do that. Let us know. But today we really wanted to link it into Tom's masterclass that he's done on the Members Club, because it is really good. And there's some, especially at the moment, resilience is going to be quite a key thing, particularly if you're in a management type position where you're having to deal with everything that's going on. So we hope that you found some of that useful. Is there any last little tips that we'd I
think there are, you know, as Chris said, we'll put some stuff into the file section of the group. For those that are members, there is Tom's masterclass, which is fantastic. It's one of the ones we've been with from launch, and it was really important to us to have it in there straight away. There's some great documents in there as well around tools you can use to keep your team together even if they're all working remotely. There's some prioritization models to help you think about how you prioritize all the activities you've got, what you can delegate, what you maybe ditch, or what you have to do now. You know, and we just keep adding to that. But we'll let you know of those things that we're going to put into the file section. There's little freebies.
Is there any last comments before we... Honestly, I'm going to have to get some stronger specs or like that. Get out for a walk, absolutely. Yeah, we've not really touched on that, but you do need your fresh air. So Joe, that's a really good point. Thank you. And you don't have to spend long doing this, as Lorraine says. You know, just 15 minutes a day. You know, or just slotting it in between like working and dealing with kids and stuff. Yeah.
And maybe time it with a call. You know, if there's someone you want to speak to, or you know, you need to speak to them for yourself, or perhaps you want to speak to them for them. Then combine that with a walk. If the weather's good, then grab your phone, go out, stick some headphones on and talk to them while you're having a little walk.
So this is our first lunchtime learn, and like I say, it's a bit more of a chat today, just to sort of get it going and see how people felt about it. It's been absolutely great to see some of you on the call. If you do have any suggestions about what you'd like us to do topics on going forward, or if there's anything really urgent, let us know, because we will do that. We might, like I say, do some stuff on Be Live or Zoom stuff in the future as well, so that we could maybe put some slides together and share them, and then share them afterwards. We could do some stuff like that, couldn't we?
Absolutely.
So let us know, and if anybody needs any more support or help, then please do message us, because we're here for our members and here for our groups, and we really want to be supportive to you guys. So thanks very much.
And thank you for all your comments and suggestions and ideas. It's great. It's, as Chris said, My People Club is always about it being member driven and providing stuff for members, and members telling us what they would like. So thank you very much. We'll speak to you in the meantime, but we will see you for the next Lunchtime Learn next Thursday, midday.
Have a good week, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.